Hello everyone, Board Game Lawyer here, and welcome to today's video. It's going to be an unboxing and hopefully a playthrough video with our brand new Hero Champion Nova. So I just got Nova in the mail today. I ordered both Nova and Ironheart at the same time, and I noticed the tracking says that Ironheart's still riding around on the mail truck. So I'm just grateful that one of them showed up today, so I have Nova here. I thought I'd do an unboxing and a playthrough, and if everything works fine, then hopefully I'll be able to post that here and you'll be able to enjoy this little journey right along with me. So I'll go ahead and open up my Nova package. This packaging here always fools me with this little tab that holds the packaging closed. That little piece of tape at the top, but not today. I remembered that, so we'll go ahead and crack open our pack here. It's been a while since I opened up a pack. Been looking forward to it. So here's our, open up our packaging. I'll set this off to the side for now. As typical, we get a poster with our new hero. So that's a nice little poster there. And on the back side, it'll give us some new rules clarification, stacking tough status cards. If a character with more than one tough status card would take any amount of damage, discard only one of those tough status cards to prevent that damage. Okay, and then there's a new keyword, requirement resources. A card with the requirement keyword cannot be played unless each resource of the specified type is spent while paying for that card's cost. Alright, so the Hero Pack comes with everything you need to play Nova, including a pre-built deck. For your first game with Nova, take all the cards preceding the divider card and follow the step instructions in the Learn to Play. There's a complete deck list on the reverse side of the divider for your reference. Well, we know that if we've opened up some heroes before. Alright, so there's our new rules. Just want to take a look at those real quick. I have seen other people play through Nova online, but I hadn't really paid very close attention. So a lot of the cards to me are new whenever I open them up. I'm excited that others like to do playthroughs just like I do, but I honestly, until they actually arrive to me, cards in hand, I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to strategy and depth of the cards until I actually receive them. So here we are. We've got Nova, and his hero side says that he is a 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. This is after you use one of Nova's basic powers, thwart, attack, or defense, ready supernova helmet. All right. And then on his alter ego side, Sam Alexander says he's a civilian, alter ego action, spend 1 resource of any type, search your deck and discard pile for Supernova Helmet. Add it to your hand, put it into play instead if you paid for this ability using a wild resource. Okay, so there's our Nova card. And I've got some dragon shields here that I'm just going to go ahead and sleeve my cards as I go. Now, my 2 favorite colors of dragon shields are Jet Matte. That's the ones that I use for the villain cards. And Night Blue Matte, which is what I use for all of my hero cards. So I'll go ahead and get out some of these sleeves now. It might be a little bit pricey for this game, but these are my favorite sleeves. And right now, this is my favorite game. So we'll put Nova to the side for now. I do have clear sleeves. Probably need to go grab one for him. But let's take a look at our Nova cards. So we have Miss Marvel. Hero response: after you play an event, exhaust Miss Marvel and deal 1 damage to her. Return that event to your hand. Okay? So that's our Kamala Khan card. I'll go ahead and sleeve her up. And also we have Force Field Projection. See how many of those we have. We have 2 of those. Hero Interrupt. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 3 of that damage. If you paid for this card using a wild resource, deal 3 damage to the enemy. Ooh, I like Force Field Projection. Go ahead and sleeve him up. 2 copies of that. All right, and then we also have Lightspeed Flight. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. Hero action, thwart, remove 3 threat from a scheme. And Lightspeed Flight, we have 3 copies of that one in our hero deck. All right, so I'll go ahead and sleeve up all 3 of those. Lightspeed Flight, cost 2. Then we have Pot Shot, and we have 3 of those. Yep, 3 of those pot shots. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. Hero action, attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. All right, hopefully that light's not too bright. See if I can adjust my lighting here. Yep, brighten it down, take the brightness off of it. Yep. All right. So we've got some pot shots. Sorry if this is lengthy because I'm sleeving my cards, but you know it's part of opening up a new kit for me. So just what I do. Unleash Nova Force, max 1 per round until the end of the round. Each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova, and draw 1 card. Wow, that's a nice card. So I have 2 of those in our kit today. Unleash the Nova Force. This looks like a fun hero to play. And then we have Connection to the World Mind. It is a resource card. Connection to the World Mind does not count toward your hand size. Ooh, we can add extra cards to our hand. How many of these do we get? We got 2 of those. We have a support, Jesse Alexander, a persona, alter ego action, exhaust Jesse Alexander, shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mind from your discard pile into your deck and draw 1 card. All right. That connection to the World Mind is a wild resource too. And then of course we have our Supernova Helmet. Nova gains aerial trait, hero resource, exhaust Supernova Helmet, and generate a wild resource. All right, cool. Now we have, it looks like we're going to be playing an aggression with Nova. So we have the Locust. Play only if your identity is a champion trait, which Nova is a champion. Hero resource, after the Locust enters play, add 1 aggression red event from your discard pile to your hand. All right, so we have the Locust. Chase them down, we're familiar with that card. After your hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. It looks like we have 2 of those. Pitchback. Play only if your identity has the aerial trait. Hero response, after your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. How many pitchbacks do we get? Well, it looks like we get a full set of 3. Pitchback. No Quarter is our next card. It has a requirement, we saw that in the rules, of a physical resource to play this. So deal 4 damage to an enemy. For each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack, discard the top card of your deck and add each aggression red card discarded this way to your hand. So that is an event called No Quarter. And do we have a full set of 3 of those? Yep, looks like we do. All right. 1 by 1 is our next card. And we have a set of 3 of those. 1 by 1, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So 3 copies of 1 by 1. Looks like a nice card. Only costs 1. Then we've got our Power of Aggression cards that come with aggression. Fluid Motion is our next card. It's a hero response. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. Okay, so it's an upgrade. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card, your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. All right. Interesting. And we have 3 of those. Yep. We have 3 of those as well. Honed Technique. This has a requirement of 2 mental resources to play, max 1 per player. Interrupt when you play an aggression attack event. If you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. Okay. Interesting. We'll see how that one works out. That one costs 3 to put out. And we'll need some more sleeves here. Hone Technique. Then we have Moon Girl. Champion Genius. Thwart 2, attack of 2. Takes 2 consequential damage for each one. It says play only if your identity has the champion or genius trait. Response, after you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mental resource used to pay for her. Wow. Yeah, very interesting. So if we use a lot of mental resources, it doesn't say printed mental resources, so we could use a wild used to pay for her. So we get to draw a card. So that could come out for good cost. Everyday Hero is the next basic resource. While your identity has the civilian trait, this card can be spent for any player and gains the text response. After you spend this card for a player, heal 1 damage from your player's identity. Okay, we have 3 Everyday Heroes too. Yep, we sure do. So we'll add 3 of those to our deck. And then Champion's Mobile Bunker is our next card. A champion vehicle, hero action, exhaust Champion's Mobile Bunker. Choose an identity with the champion trait. The player who controls that identity may draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from their hand. All right, so it's a support, and it's a way to cycle through our deck there. Okay, so that should be 40 cards, if that's a typical deck, because next is our obligation. That's going to be a villain card. It reads, give to the Sam Alexander player. While this card is in play, Supernova Helmet cannot ready. Okay, so that Supernova Helmet is important in this game. And with this obligation, it says that it cannot ready. Alter ego action, exhaust Sam Alexander, remove this obligation from the game. All right, so we'll need to get out our black sleeves to start sleeving up those cards. I'll go ahead and get my hero deck shuffled, because I do intend to just go straight into a game after I unbox all these cards. So, shuffling up this hero deck quickly. All right, very good. So I believe that's probably all the hero cards that we're going to be sleeving. Let's just see. Yeah, the rest of these will just be... Oh, and we have the Armadillo. Yeah, we'll be sleeving him as well. We'll look at the rest as we go. But Weight of the World is our next card. And we'll go ahead and get him sleeved up. That's our obligation that we will shuffle into our deck. Now, every time I get a new hero, I like to play against Rhino, mainly because Rhino is somebody that I play with all the time. I don't have to read his cards. I know what they are. And he's pretty straightforward, so we'll shuffle that obligation into our Rhino deck here. And then as far as our Nemesis cards, we have Bring the War. When revealed, each player discards 1 card they control with a printed wild resource. For each card discarded this way, place 1 threat here, and it comes into play with 2 threat on it. And it has that hazard icon on it as well. So there is our Nemesis. I'll set it over to the side in case we need to bring those out during the game. Warbringer. Scheme of 1, attack of 3. It has a star next to the 3, which is a forced interrupt. When Warbringer attacks you, he gets +1 attack for that attack for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. That attack gains overkill. And he has 5 health. 3 boost icons on him. So Warbringer, that is a serious minion that we may have to deal with. And let's look at some of his treachery cards here. He has War Delivery. How many of those does he have? He has 2 of those. It says, when revealed, you may spend a wild resource. If you do not, the villain and Warbringer each attack you. Even if you're in alter ego form. And it has a boost ability. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each card with a printed wild resource in your hand. So War Delivery, that is a tough treachery card. If we get our Shadows of the Past, it's really going to amp up that Rhino deck. Getting those cards out into it. And then this one here is The War's Been Brought. Surge. When revealed, discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is equal to the total number of printed wild resource on cards in your hand. Cards under your control and cards in your discard pile. Whoa. And it's a surge. The War's Been Brought. Okay, so that's a pretty stout treachery card. And we'll put it off to the side as well. So here's our stop card. Our list should be on the back, and it is. So we'll set that card off to the side for now. Yaw and Roll. Play only if your identity has the aerial trait. Hero response. After your hero thwarts, remove 3 threat from a scheme. Wow, I like that one. So that's our extra hero cards that we receive. And here are our extra protection cards. Height advantage. While your identity has the aerial trait, reduce the amount of damage you take from each enemy attack by 1. Oh, nice. That's an upgrade. Force response. When your turn begins... Oh, I discard this card, so it doesn't stick around, but that would be too tough for 1 resource anyway. I'm sure there's a way to exploit that. All right, next. Now we have our Armadillo set, and it has an Armored Assault. Each enemy with a tough status card gets +3 attack. It comes into play with 3 threat on it. It has 2 boost icons. And that is part of our side scheme that is in the Armadillo modular set. So we're going to add that to our Rhino deck today. So I'll just sleeve that up and put it off to the side over here with our obligation. Here's the Armadillo. He has a scheme of 1, an attack of 2, and he has 8 hit points. He comes into play with a tough card on him. Armadillo can have any number of tough status cards. Force response. After Armadillo activates against you, give him a tough status card. Okay, so that explains the rule that we saw in our new rule book there. They can stack tough cards. Armadillo can. All right, Rollin' is our next treachery card. Attached to Armadillo, if Armadillo is not in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Armadillo. Put him into play, engage with you, and attach this card to him. Shuffle. While Armadillo has a tough status card, characters cannot defend against his attacks. Ooh. All right, I'm liking the Armadillo modular set. Tough and Tumble is our next card. This is number 4 of 6. When revealed, alter ego. Each enemy with a tough status card schemes. If no enemy activates this way, this card gains Surge. When revealed, hero. Each enemy with a tough status card attacks you. If no enemy activates this way, this card gains Surge. Okay, so Tough and Tumble. And then 5 and 6 looks like they're both the same. When revealed, give Armadillo and the villain each a tough status card. If 1 or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains Surge. If 1 or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains Surge. So if you just have the villain out and he gets a tough card with this card, it also surges. Wow. Unless he's tough already, it looks like, I think Armadillo looks like he may be the only one that can stack those cards. And we have 2 copies of that. So we'll go ahead and shuffle that into our Rhino deck. We'll move Nova down here for now. We'll go ahead and put away our villain sleeves, I call them. And our Dragon Shield hero sleeves, I'll box those up and put them off to the side. So Rhino, we're going to just play Rhino standard today. He has a scheme of 1, an attack of 2. He is a brute criminal, and he comes into play with 14 hit points on him. So we have both our Rhinos here, Rhino 1 and 2. We have the break-in, which advanced to stage 1B. Nothing to add with that. No threat on the main scheme. Here is our Rhino deck. So we're going to include some of these cards here from our modular set that we just received. Armadillo. See what happens with that. There's Armadillo going in. And we also put in our obligation. We already have our standard cards in there, so I'll go ahead and give this a good shuffle. Oop. Let's see. Yep, they're all black on the back. Just make sure I didn't mix anything in. Go ahead and give it a good shuffle. And so we'll begin with Nova on his alter ego side. Sam Alexander. And he comes into play with 10 hit points on him. All right. Go ahead and shuffle our encounter deck. So it looks like Sam Alexander begins with a hand size of 6. Again, just as a reminder, that alter ego action says that I can spend 1 resource of any type, search your deck and discard pile for Supernova Helmet, add it to your hand, put it into play if you paid for it with a wild resource. Let me just finish up shuffling my encounter deck here. And we'll begin with our hand size of 6 for Sam Alexander. So we have light speed flight, double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. It has a mental resource on it. We also have our fluid motion. It's our upgrade. Pot shot, double the number of resources. Unleash the Nova Force until the end of the round. Each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova and draw a card. Let's see, here we have Connection to the World Mind. Good card to have here at the beginning, and also Miss Marvel. So we'll hang on to Miss Marvel and Connection to the World Mind, and we'll discard these 4 cards for now. Is that a bad idea? Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. Hero action, deal 4 damage to enemy. Let's hang on to Pot Shot as well. So we'll hang on to 3 cards, and we'll discard 3 cards and see what we get. So we're mulliganing for the Power of Aggression. We're also going to mulligan for Fluid Motion and for Pot Shot. So we have 2 Pot Shots. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. So, you know what? That actually makes Power of Aggression worthwhile. Double the number of wild resources generated for paying for this card. I like that. So those 2 can work together. Fluid Motion is an upgrade. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. Nice. And we actually have 2 Pot Shots. But I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and spend that Connection to the World Mind. Oh, it doesn't count toward my hand size. I forgot about that. So we can draw ourselves an extra card. So Pitchback. Play only if your identity has the aerial trait. Attack. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So yeah, that's a cool Connection to the World Mind. Does not count toward your hand size. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. So we'll go ahead and we will play Connection to the World Mind. And it says to search your deck and discard pile for the Supernova Helmet. And we did pay for it with a wild resource. So here's my Supernova Helmet. And it means that I can put it right out on the table. And it's a hero resource. Exhaust Supernova Helmet, generate a wild resource. That is a hero action, but Nova gains the aerial trait while he has it. So that's pretty cool. And we got those Pot Shots, so we should be able to do some damage to Rhino here on this first round. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to my Nova side. And let's see if we have anything worthwhile to put on the table. We did have an upgrade here. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack. Right now he's sitting at 1 until the end of the phase. Response. After you use one of Nova's basic powers, Ready the Supernova helmet. Wow. That's pretty cool. I like that. So we'll hang on to both of these pot shots for now. And I think we'll spend that one resource. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Wow. We do want to put that fluid motion on the table, I believe. So we'll use Miss Marvel as a resource to put out fluid motion. Okay. All right. And then we will exhaust the Supernova helmet because it regenerates a wild resource. Double the number of wild resources generated while paying for this card. Hero action attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So we'll exhaust Supernova helmet to pay for that pot shot. So we'll deal 4 damage to the Rhino. That'll take him down to 10. All right, very good. And it says after you use one of Nova's basic powers, ready Supernova helmet. Response, after you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. So we just played an attack event, which was that pot shot. So we'll exhaust fluid motion. That'll give him +1 attack till the end of the phase. So we'll do 2 damage with Nova to knock Rhino down to 8. All right, and so after Rhino takes his damage, it says after you use one of Nova's basic powers, ready the Supernova helmet. So we'll go ahead and ready that Supernova helmet, and we'll recall that we have that after your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Let's go ahead and spin that pitch back because we just attacked. After your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. And we do have the aerial trait. We'll use the power of aggression to pay for pitch back. We'll do 4 more damage to Rhino. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we did ready the Supernova helmet, so we can use it to generate another wild resource. So we'll go ahead and exhaust that to take a pot shot at Rhino. And we'll do 4 more damage to Rhino. So that's going to clear Rhino of all of his health. So stage 1 of Rhino is defeated. And that'll bring up stage 2. And it says, when revealed, search the encounter deck discard pile for the breaking and taking side scheme, reveal it, and shuffle the encounter deck. So let's go look for that breaking and taking side scheme. There it is. It comes into play with 3 threat on it, 2 + 1 when revealed. And it has a hazard icon on it, meaning that I'll deal myself an additional encounter card. We got that Armadillo roaming around in our deck. So it sounds like a pretty dangerous card to have out on the table right now, but we'll go ahead and place our 3 threat on it. That's going to be the end of Nova's turn, but it was a pretty fun turn. So we'll ready Nova. We'll ready his helmet. We'll also ready fluid motion. And we'll draw up our hand size of 5. So we have another fluid motion. And it's not unique. So after you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. All right, and we do have a hero action. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. If it defeats that enemy, do 2 damage to another enemy. So we've got fluid motion, 1 by 1. The Moon Girl. Play only if your identity has the champion or genius trait. After you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mental resource you use to pay for her. We've got the power of aggression, and we also have another 1 by 1 card. So those are our 5 cards going into our next turn. Rhino is going to place 1 threat on the main scheme. All right. And then he's going to attack Nova. Should I defend? I don't have any defense cards, I don't believe. Nothing to defend it, but we do have 10 health. He has 3 attack. Let's see what we get. We'll just take the damage, and it's going to be an armored assault. It's got 2 boost icons on it, so we're going to lose half of our health on just that first attack from Rhino. Okay, then we deal ourselves 2 encounter cards. An extra 1 because of breaking and taken. So our first one is an assault. When revealed, in hero form, the villain attacks you. Well, I think we're definitely going to have to defend it because we can't take another hit like we just got. And it's entirely possible that that could happen. So we're going to defend. And says, after you use one of Nova's basic powers, ready the Supernova helmet. Well, it's readied already. So, all right, so we got 3 plus another 2. Minus 2 is 3 damage that'll go through to Nova. So already he's about gone. And then our last card is going to be Tough It Out. When revealed, give Armadillo and the villain each a tough status card. If one or fewer tough status cards were given this way, this card gains Surge. All right. So we'll go ahead and put that tough status card on Rhino. And because one or few was handed out, this card's going to gain Surge. So we deal ourselves another encounter card, and this is the Shocker. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each hero. All right, so we deal ourselves 1 more damage because of that. So now we're down to 2 health. All right, so we have the Moon Girl, which I don't have any. I've got the Power of Aggression is the only substitute I can use by paying for Moon Girl for that mental resource. After you play Moon Girl from your hand, draw 1 card for each mental resource you use to pay for her. We do have Fluid Motion, which is after you play an attack event. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 by 1. I've got 2 1-by-1 cards, which they say deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So it might be worthwhile to do that. And we do have another resource here that we could use to put out Moon Girl. So I tell you what, let's put out Moon Girl first. We'll spend that 1 wild resource to put out Moon Girl, along with the Power of Aggression and Fluid Motion. So we'll get to draw 2 cards because I spent 2 essentially mental resources for playing the Moon Girl. So we'll draw up another card, Force Field Protection, and another Force Field Protection. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent 3 of that damage. If you paid for this card using a wild resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. All right, so tell you what, we'll probably just use these as resources to play the 1-by-1 card. And so deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats an enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we'll go ahead and, let's see. We could attack with the Moon Girl first. Onto the Shocker. May not be a bad idea. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll do 2 damage to Shocker using Moon Girl. We'll have to take 2 consequential damage for doing that. But that will knock 2 off. And then if we use that Force Field Protection, when a friendly character would take any amount of damage, 1-by-1, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we can go ahead and defeat the Shocker using 1-by-1. So he's gone, and then I'll knock that Tough card off of Rhino. All right, Tough card is gone. So after you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets +1 attack until the end of the phase. We'll just go ahead and exhaust it anyway. We're already exhausted, so we won't be able to do anything with that. But we will play the other 1-by-1 to do 2 more damage to Rhino. And we forgot to set his hit points at 15, but that's where he's at. 15 hit points. So we'll go ahead and do 2 more hit points, or knock 2 more hit points off of Rhino. Put him down to 13. Shall we flip? I think we will. Alter Ego action. Spend 1 resource of any type. Search your deck and discard pile for the helmet. So it looks like if we ever lose the helmet, we'll still be able to get it back in Alter Ego form. But otherwise, that's just kind of a dead ability. But it's a great ability there at the beginning of the game. So we got Moon Girl. We've got the Supernova helmet. Fluid Motion. And now we can draw up a hand size of 6. So we have Everyday Hero. While your identity has the civilian trait, this card can be spent for any player and gains the text response after you spend this card for a player, heal 1 damage from that player's identity. So we have the Everyday Hero. We've got a Hone Technique. This is an upgrade. When you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. Now we have No Quarter, which is an attack event, but it has a required fist resource. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. All right. And we've got Jesse Alexander, who is a persona. Shuffle a connection to the world mine from your discard pile into your deck and draw a card. That's the action on that one. Lightspeed Flight. And Unleash the Nova Force. All right. And we have Connection to the World Mine, which does not count toward your hand size. We learned that earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, shouldn't have drawn it. So we already had our 6 cards. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought we had one more to go. We didn't. So Rhino places 1 threat on the main scheme. He's going to scheme for 1 plus 0. So we place 1 more threat on the break-in. And now we get to draw 2 encounter cards. Our first one is going to be an Assault. I'm in alter ego form, so this card's going to gain Surge. So we need to deal ourselves 2 encounter cards. So that surges into another card here. All right, so I'm tough when revealed. Rhino gets a tough status card. All right. And then our final card is going to be Weight of the World. Give to the Sam Alexander player while this card's in play. Supernova Helmet cannot ready. Exhaust Sam Alexander. Remove this obligation from the game. So we have that obligation on the table, the Weight of the World. And let's see what we can do. So we have Jesse Alexander. Exhaust Jesse Alexander. Shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mine from your discard pile into your deck and draw a card. I think we'll use the Everyday Hero as well as all right. I think we'll spend the Hone Technique and the Everyday Hero to put out Jesse Alexander. Yep, we'll do that. So we'll get to heal for 1. Puts us up to 3. And then we get to draw a card. Is that correct? Using the Everyday Hero? Nope. After you spend this card, heal 1 damage from a player's identity. So now the alter ego action says exhaust Jesse Alexander, shuffle 1 copy of Connection to the World Mine from your discard pile into your deck, and draw a card. So we'll go ahead and exhaust Jesse Alexander, and we'll go find that Connection to the World Mine we used earlier. We'll shuffle that into our deck. At least that takes care of the fact that we looked at the top card of our deck earlier. So now we can't cheat anymore. We just knew it was in there. All right. Now we get to draw a card. So the card that we will draw today is Pitchback. After your identity has... If your identity has the aerial trait, after your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Lightspeed Flight. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. Unleash the Nova Force. Until the end of the round, each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova, and draw 1 card. I like that. So why don't we do this first? So let's... remove this obligation. So we can't ready the Supernova helmet while the Weight of the World is in play. So let's go ahead and exhaust Sam Alexander to remove the Weight of the World. We'll take it out of play. Then we will flip to our Nova side, and let's play the double the number of resources, remove 3 threat from a scheme. I think we need to get those 3 threat off the break-in and taken. So we'll exhaust the Supernova helmet to play the light speed flight, remove 3 threat from a scheme. So 3 threats coming off the break-in and taken. So it's defeated. Then we have unleash the Nova Force. Max 1 per round until the end of the round. Each time Nova defeats an enemy or removes the last threat from a scheme, ready Nova and draw 1 card. So we'll spend 1 to play that event. We will, I guess, imagine that we played it before that last card. Yeah, we should have done that. So we'll have used Pitchback to pay for Unleash the Nova Force so we can ready Nova and draw 1 card. Ready Nova, and we'll draw 1 card. Everyday Hero. Okay. Response: after you spend this card for a player, heal 1 damage from the player's identity. So I think we will use that Nova card to just knock that tough off of Rhino for now. And we're going to hang on to the Moon Girl because I think we're going to have to block with her in order to not get defeated this next round. So I'll just discard Everyday Hero, and we'll draw up a new hand size of 5. Ready everything here. So we'll draw up Pitchback and chase them down. We'll also draw Hone Technique and Everyday Hero. And our last one is another Honed Technique. All right, so Rhino is going to place 1 threat on the break-in. And then after he does that, he's going to attack. So we'll block with Moon Girl. Let me see if there's anything in our hand. Nothing really to respond with in aggression. So he's going to attack for 3 plus 0. So Moon Girl is defeated. Then we'll draw our encounter card, which is another I'm Tough. So Rhino gets another tough status card. And that will end Rhino's turn. All right, so this Hone Technique, let's see what that's all about. It says, requirement, I have to spend at least 2 mental resources when you play an aggression attack event. This is an upgrade. If you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its predecessor. So here is an attack event. So we could put Honed Technique onto the table. Okay. So let's do that. Let's put Honed Technique onto the table. We'll have to spend a resource. We'll spend a wild resource, and we'll spend the other Honed Technique. And the Everyday Hero will heal 1 damage from our identity to put out Honed Technique. Okay. All right. And then we will... getting a lot of threat over there on the break-in. Let's go ahead and heal ourselves for 1. Right? Yeah. Heal ourselves for 1. Do we do the Pitchback? So if we attack with Nova, he's going to knock the tough card off. And this says, after your hero attacks, deal 4 damage to an enemy. And if I spend that using Chase Them Down, I'll be able to add an additional increase the amount of damage that deals by its printed cost. printed cost is 0. Let me just make sure. If you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. So this is the event's printed cost is 1. So we could do 5 damage, or we may need to just remove a threat from the break-in and flip down to our alter ego form. We may need to do that. Because we can't take more than 4 damage. We have a defense of 2. I could take a chance. I think I will take a chance. Let's just take the chance. This is our first game with Nova. Sometimes I don't win my first game even against a standard Rhino. But I think I will do that. I'm going to exhaust Nova to remove the tough card from Rhino. And then we'll spend the 1 resource to pay pitch back. And so we'll do 4 damage plus 1, 5 damage to Rhino. Okay, so we'll knock him down to 8. 0. After you play an attack event, exhaust this card. Your hero gets plus 1 attack until the end of the phase. Till the end of the phase. I don't have anything else to do. So instead of flipping down and take the chance of threading out, I think I'll take my chances with readying Nova, readying Fluid Motion, Hone Technique, our Supernova Helmet, Jesse Alexander, and draw up our hand size of 5. So we have Chase Them Down. We also draw 1 by 1. No quarter. Another no quarter. And Connection to the World Mind, which does not count to our hand size. So we'll draw another card, which is a pot shot. All right, so if we can make it through this turn, we may be all right. So we place 1 threat on the break-in. Nova is going to defend, and he's going to do so for 2. So we draw 3 plus 1 is 4 damage. So we subtract 2 from our defense, and we draw 1 more card, which is Hard to Keep Down. Rhino heals 4 damage. So it puts him back up to 12. Normally I don't mind seeing that card, but this was kind of a bad time for that because I don't think I can do 12 damage from Nova on this turn here. So, Chase Them Down. Dead card, 1 by 1. Just deals 2 damage. No quarter. Deal 4 damage to an enemy for each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack. Let me read that again. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. For each point of excess damage dealt to that enemy by this attack, discard the top card of your deck and add each aggression red card discarded this way to your hand. Oh, that's nice. So if we were to spend for no quarter, let's just see what happens here. We'll spend Supernova Helmet, which is one of our requirements for no quarter. And we'll also spend the Chase Them Down card. Okay, so we do 4 damage to an enemy. We're not going to do excess damage, but we will do 4 damage. So we'll go ahead and hit him for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Takes him down to 8. We have another no quarter. So we can spend, there's the pot shot, deal 4 damage to an enemy. Looks like I may be 1 resource shy. Let's see. When you play an attack, when you play an aggressive attack event, which we did, this was an aggression attack event. It says if you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. So we did use a mental resource to play no quarter. So it cost, the printed cost on this event is 2. So when you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. So we actually did 2 more damage to Rhino because of that. Okay. So now we have another no quarter. Deal 4 damage to an enemy for each point of excess damage dealt, which we're not doing excess damage. Discard the top cards. But we still have that hone technique on the table. When you play an aggression attack event, if you paid for that event using a mental resource, increase the amount of damage that event deals by its printed cost. So we have no quarter, and we do have connection to the world mind. So we could use that, and also the pot shot card to pay for no quarter. So we'll deal 4 damage to the enemy, and we'll do an additional 2 because of the cost of that event, because we used connection to the world mind to pay for it. So that'll do 6 more damage to Rhino. Didn't realize we had it there, but those cards are pretty tough. So Rhino is defeated, and Nova wins his first game, unless one of the viewers out there points out that I did something wrong on any of my turns. This is really the first time I had a chance to look at any of these cards, and so it's possible that I did make a mistake in interpreting any of them. So if you did see something that I did wrong, does not hurt my feelings at all if you place it in the comments down below. And I hope you enjoyed watching my playthrough video today and my unboxing. It's pretty exciting whenever you get new heroes to play with, and I think I'm going to really like Nova. He could easily become one of my favorites once I figure out some additional cards and so forth to put into his deck. But I really enjoyed the ones that he came with today. Seems like he's going to be a really powerful force to deal with in the game. So looking forward to more games with him. So again, I'm the Board Game Lawyer, and if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can shoot me an email at boardgamelawyer@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed watching my video today, and I hope to bring you another one again very soon.